Second question that is one of the most popular that I pulled is this. Does God test us? And I would imagine this comes from someone feeling as if, and this is the way I've heard it from most people, is something happens in my life, typically something bad or something very hard, difficult that I'm going through. And then I hear people refer to it as, well, God must be testing me.
Sure.
And so I think the motivation behind this question is, do things that happen bad or hard in my life, is that God's active? Is God being active in my life to try and put me to the test so that I can prove something to Him, or something of that nature?
I think what's interesting about this question is, and we've actually answered this somewhat in other places, other questions on the podcast, but today, my discipleship group, discipleship plug for the week, we are on James 1. That was the chapter we read today, and that one begins by James saying, hey, when trials and when tribulations, these bad things in your life start coming about, you should take joy. Mm-hmm. And then he gets to this bottom, if you get to the end of the chapter, he gets to this place. He says, but when you're going through the trial, don't be tempted to think God is testing you or tempting you. Mm-hmm. He says, God's the one that's giving you all the good things in your life. He gives good gifts. And it says that God himself is not tempted by evil. And so he's not going to tempt us with this kind of thing, or test us with this. So the answer, as far as in the way that you're bringing it up, that absolutely, God does not test us. He is, the bad things in your life are not God going, let me see what happens here.
It really does have a lot to do with how you define that phrase of what does it mean to be. Because I could also say, well, in a sense, yes, because there are things that come into my life that test my faith, or my resolve, or my ability to love others, and it gives me an opportunity to almost like flex that muscle, which then grows me to become stronger in that.
Sure.
So in that sense, I could say, it is a test for me to come through it, and then on the other side be stronger or better, or to see some good come out of it, which we know God does, works good out of evil things.
Well, and that's why James says you should take joy in your trials, because
Exactly.
it produces perseverance, it produces character, it produces, but that's not necessarily God doing the testing. It's God working in this thing that is testing your faith to bring about something. I've noticed you've pulled up the YouVersion app, so you have something to share.
Well, I always think it's interesting, and I know I'm a contrarian. Everybody always reminds me I'm a contrarian by nature, and I am. I think you all have done the perfect part of getting on the God. Does God actively do it? Mm-hmm. And I think everything in life is a test, and we don't realize it. Sure. And the interesting part to me is, inevitably, everybody wants when something I didn't want to have happen. Mm-hmm. I think God is bringing bad things to test me. But I think, and I've used this as a prayer of mine for some time, the wisdom of Solomon in Proverbs. Solomon says, or he has this prayer, and he asks God, he says, don't give me poverty nor riches, but only what I need for today. This is Proverbs 30, by the way, if you want to look this up later. He says, otherwise, if I get too much, I might just get proud and disown you, God, and think it's all me. Who is the Lord? Mm-hmm. Or if I don't have enough, I might be poor and still, and then dishonor the Lord. It's interesting that in a country like ours, and I would say, for the majority of people in our particular area, we are I don't know that people live here probably can't see it. We're a wealthy county.
Sure.
We have a high standard of living as a median income. Mm-hmm. And I think people don't see, your riches are a test.
Mm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sure.
And you're more concerned about the hard things that come to you, and is God testing me with a hard thing? The truth is, you are being tested every day by the good things that come to you, and more people are failing the prosperity test than are failing the hardship test. Yeah. Most people in the hardship test turn to God. Most people in the prosperity test turn to themselves and go, dude, I am good. Look how smart I am. Look how wise I am. Look how hard I work. Look how much my family has done. Look at me. But when we have a hardship, we tend to turn to God. But that question, and I'm not saying because that's a Googled question, and so Google can't explain to me. Most people think, I'm having a hard time.
Yes.
Sure.
Am I being tested? Everything is testing you.
True.
Well, and I think
Everything is
in those
testing.
situations, a good way of thinking even of the word test, because we often think of it in different ways, but it is testing in the sense of revealing what's there.
Oh, yeah.
That and I think it's actually Jim Carrey who said it, but that he wishes everyone became rich and famous so they could see that wasn't the answer. That fame and that it just makes you more of what you already are. Blessings often just makes you more. So the good thing is, as followers of Jesus, if what's on the inside of us is generosity and love and compassion, then when I have these blessings, as you talk about, I now have more opportunity to do good things
Yes.
with those than I don't. And if those opportunities get taken away in the sense that I don't have as much, I still have something else to rely on and to pull from. And that the testing is actually just revealing it's like putting, gold into a test, right? Into the fire.
Yeah, I've always said to people when they're starting out, it is way better to learn to give when you don't have anything.
Oh, yeah.
Because you think you don't have enough to give, but it is way easier when you make $1,000 a month to give 10% of that than when you make $100,000.
Sure.
Because then you go, now how are they really going to make use of my money? Is that
Right.
I worked so hard for this, whereas you're just so thankful that you make it by that you go, oh, somebody else might need this, which is why poor people always give a higher percentage of their income than people who have more. Always.
Sure.